Hare Krishna. So welcome today for the Bhagavad class. So we are in the last section of second chapter. So in verse number 54, Arjuna asks this question about the Sita Pragya, one who is self-realized soul or who is in divine consciousness or is one in Jivan Mukta. So this is Sita Pragya, and he asks that what is the general systems? There is Ka Bhasa. Then he asks that how does it speak with Ka Prabhashita? Speak means on receiving praise or blame or affection or hate. So how does it speak internally and externally? So this is Ka Prabhashita. Vikim Asita means how does it sit? Sit means how does it restrain his senses from sense objects? And Krim Bhajeta is how does he walk? How does he respond to sense objects? So these were the four questions asked by Arjuna in the verse number 54. And in verse number 55, we saw the general system that such person is self-satisfied and he gives all kinds of material desires which arise from the mind. And Kim Prabhas, how to speak is so he's undisturbed in mind with amidst the threefold miseries, and he's not elated when there's happiness, is free from attachment, fear, and anger, and he's unaffected everywhere in this world. So by whatever he gets, he will or he may obtain, he neither praises it or neither despises it. So such a person is firmly fixed in perfect knowledge. And we also saw some purports from Bhagavatam also, how that we should be undisturbed. Then from verse number 58 to 63, we are seeing that how does he controls his senses. So it's the example is not tortoise. So this tortoise withdraws his limb within the shell. So likewise, when the person sees the sense objects, he withdraws his senses back. And this can only happen one who has the higher taste. One who has a higher taste can give the lower taste. Otherwise, it's not possible. And in that, we saw that even a wise person's senses are distracted. So a person may be knowledge, but still the senses are so strong that it will carry other person. And only sense control is possible if one is devoted to Lord Krishna. We saw in this verse number 61. And now from in verse number 62 and 63, there's different stages of a person who is of uncontrolled mind. How does he fall down or how does he goes down is given. So let's see this verse number 62 and then 63. So let's recite verse number 62. ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसा सङ्गस्तेषुपजायते सङ्गात् सञ्जायते कामा कामत् क्रोधभिजायते ध्यायत while contemplating Vishayan sense objects pumsa of a person Sangha, attachment, teshu, in the sense object, upajayate, develops, sangat, from attachment, sanjayate, develops, kama, desire, kama, from desire, krodha, anger, abhijayate, becomes manifest. Translation. While contemplating the senses or the object of the senses, a person develops attachment for them. And from such attachment, lust develops. And from lust, anger arises. So, the first thing one does is contemplating on the object of the senses. So we have our senses like the eyes, the nose, the tongue, and touch. So what we do is contemplate. So contemplation is done by eyes, and contemplation can also be done by mind. So first, when we see the things, then we contemplate, oh, how beautiful it is, or we like use this, or what it is. So like this, we contemplate on the things. And then the contemplation is done next in the mind. So mind, what he does, he compares with the previous things. Oh, last time I saw this thing, it was such beautiful. Last time it was such thing. And when one contemplates, what happens next is there is attachment to the thing. So if we don't want to develop attachment to anything, you should stop at this first point is contemplation. If one contemplates further, maybe it is a good sari, maybe a good dress, a good car, or TV, whatever it may be. If you start contemplating, then you will develop attachment toward it. There is nothing ugly or bad or something. Whatever one contemplates on, one will be attached to. This is the science, and And therefore, we see in this world that so many people buy so many things which they don't need, and then it is kept as it is because we see the ad so many times. So because of seeing so many times, the mind automatically starts contemplating. There is no need of indirectly doing it. It's directly done because see, if you see something again and again, your mind starts thinking, "Oh, should I buy this? Should I buy it? Should I buy it?" And after some time, we go automatically to shop and we buy the things, and then the things are as it is kept. We don't use it. And likewise, if we see love in this world, the man meets a girl or girl meets a boy. So because because of co-education which exists nowadays, they are seeing each other so many days, and gradually because by seeing gradually the mind contemplates, and then there's attachment. So this is very natural, and therefore we see that the first thing we should do is we should not see the things if we don't want to contemplate. If we see, then definitely the next step will start. And second, if we see the things, then we should not see again and again, or we should stop at that point, or we should not contemplate in the mind. The thinking should not start in the mind. So feeling, willing, and it should not start. Otherwise, the next step is lust. So from this sankat sanjayate kama, the kama develops that I want this thing. This is mine. Anyhow, I will get it. Either I will do thievery or I will do cookery, whatever I think I want these things. So many people go and buy a car. Even if they don't have money in the bank, they buy it. For some days, at least they'll have, and then the banker will come again and take the car back. So somehow or the other, they'll misrepresent the documents, misrepresent the things, and they will have it. And what happens is when the lust is developed afterwards, kamat krodha bijayate, that thing is taken away, then there is anger. The the wish is not fulfilled, then there is a growth. So this is a natural sequence that from this lust, anger arises. And this is true for everybody. There is no much exception for it, except for the pure devotees. Everybody goes through this cycle. So purport, one who is not in Krishna consciousness is subjected to material desires by contemplating the objects of senses. The senses require real engagements, and if they are not engaged in the transcendental loving service of Lord, they will certainly seek engagement in the service of materialism. So our senses, our eyes, nose, our tongue, touch, they all, especially the hearing is the first part to come and the last to go. They require real engagement. That is, they should be always be engaged in some or other devotional service. If they are not engaged in that way, naturally they will be engaged in some other ways. There is no vacuum. So this is a very important thing to understand. See, the thoughts which come to our mind, that comes because of what we see and what we hear. These two things, what we see and what we hear, if it is not being channelized properly, then what will happen is what we contemplate will be all the wrong things. And therefore, if we see all the things in this world, either they are in visual form or they come in the audio video form. So because these are the main important senses which take all the information in, and they require real engagement. That is, we should hear of Krishna Katha and speak of Krishna Katha. Otherwise, all the gossips, all the whatever it may be, it will go in. So in material world, everyone, including Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, to say nothing of other demigods in this heavenly planet, is subjected to the influence of sense objects. And the only method to get out of this puzzle of material existence is to become Krishna consciousness. So everybody in this world, even in this example, Lord Shiva and Brahma is given. So they are also subject to this. So if they are subjected, then what to think of we are definitely subjected to these things. And therefore we should be very careful. Lord Shiva was deep in meditation, but when Parvati agitated him for sense pleasure, he agreed to the proposal. And as a result, Kartikeya was born. So we know this story about Lord Shiva. And therefore, it is true for everybody. So when Haridas Thakur was a young devotee of the Lord, he was similarly allured by the incarnation of Mayadevi. But Haridas easily passed the test because he was of his unalloyed devotion to Lord Krishna. So here, Haridas Thakur was equally allured. So at I think in Benapol. So, but he remained unaffected. As illustrated in the above mentioned verse of Sri Yamunacharya, a sincere devotee of the Lord shuns all material sense enjoyment due to his higher taste for spiritual enjoyment in the association of the Lord. So one can give up this lower attachment if one has higher attachment. And in this world, the sex pleasure is the most allowed and the most highest thing. And one can get out of this if one has some spiritual pleasure. Otherwise, it's not possible. And therefore, one should seek higher pleasure. This is the secret of success. So, this is the secret of success. If one wants to be successful in spiritual life, one needs attachment to higher things. Otherwise, it's not possible. One who is not therefore in Krishna consciousness, however powerful he may be in controlling the senses by artificial repression, is sure ultimately to fail, for the slightest thought of sense pleasure will irritate him to gratify his senses, desires. So, if one doesn't have the boat of Krishna consciousness, so one may be powerful enough to control his senses by different means, maybe by karma yoga, by ashtanga yoga, or different practices, yama, niyam, and all things. So ultimately, he will not be powerful. After some time, the senses will rebel. And if the senses rebel, one will not be able to control his mind and everything will irritate him. And therefore, he's sure to fail. And we have seen so many examples, like we have the famous example of Vishwamitra. So Vishwamitra did tapasya for so many years and years, but still he failed. So the slightest thought of sense pleasure will aid him to advise others. So if there is some thought, so this mind does the work of thinking and willing. So what happens is that thought comes in mind, and then we contemplate, and then we have that things. So if we don't want these thoughts, then we should be always thinking of Krishna, and then we can be out of this sensitive pursuits. Otherwise, difficult. So the sequence is first we contemplate by seeing and by mind, then attachment develops. From attachment, lust develops that I want this thing, and if that is not fulfilled, then anger develops. So after anger, what happens is given in verse number 63. What are the further stages? Let us see what happens if krodh develops. क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोह सम्मोहात् स्मृति विभ्रमा स्मृति भ्रमा भ्रमसात् बुद्धिनाशो बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति. Krodhat from anger, bhavati takes place, sammoha, perfect illusion. Sammohat from illusion, smriti of the memory, vibhrama, bewilderment. Smriti vibhramasaat, after bewilderment of memory, buddhi nasha, loss of intelligence. Buddhi nasha from loss of intelligence, pranashati, one falls down. So, how does one fall down from the platforms of spiritual going? So, it is the sequence. So from anger, complete delusion arises. So when one is angry, one is not having that inclination what to do, what to not to do. He's an illusion. He's complete illusion. And so if one is illusion, then one memory is bewildered. He doesn't know what to do with the memory. And after memory is gone, it is also lost. So the discrimination power of what is to be done when is lost. And when this is done, once again falls down to material pool, and one again does all the material activities. So this is a process which is definitely going to happen. And therefore, if one needs to go to higher planes in spiritual life, the first thing one needs to do is stop contemplating on the sense objects. Whatever it may be, one should stop contemplating. And therefore, one should think and contemplate on Krishna or Krishna's form, qualities, pastimes, and all. Otherwise, one will definitely contemplate on sense objects. That is the norm. There cannot be a vacuum. There cannot be the no thoughts. There is nothing like no thoughts or no idea. It will be there. Purport. Srila Rupa Goswami has given us this direction. प्रापंचिकतया बुद्धया हरि संबंधी वस्तुना Mumukshibhi Parityako Vairagyam Phalgu Kathayate. Bhakti Sami Sindhu 1.2.256. So by development of Krishna consciousness, one can know that everything has its use in the service of the Lord. Those who are without knowledge of Krishna consciousness artificially try to avoid material objects, and as a result, although they desire liberation from material bondage, they do not attain to the perfect stage of renunciation. So, what does this verse speak is, whatever we have in this material world can be used in the service of the Lord. It cannot be used in our service, but can be used in service of the Lord. And therefore, we should not try to avoid material objects or desires, but we should desire for Krishna, use the things for Krishna. And if we do this, then we are successful. Otherwise, although they desire liberation from material body, they do not attain the perfect state of realization. So one may desire but will not attain. Their so-called realization is called falgu, or less important. On the other hand, a person in Krishna consciousness knows how to use everything in the service of the Lord. So on the other hand, a person who is a Krishna conscious person, who is a devotee, knows how to use every person, every equipment, everything, words in service of the Lord. And therefore, he does not become victim of material consciousness. And therefore, he stays away from material consciousness. For example, for an impersonalist, the Lord or the absolute being impersonal cannot eat. Whereas an impersonalist tries to avoid good eatables, a devotee knows that Krishna is supreme enjoyer and that he eats all that is offered to him in devotion. So after offering good eatables to the Lord, the devotee takes the remnants called prasada. So this is given a good example of eating. So impersonalist, what he does is, Neti, if I eat this, I'll be distracted. I should not eat good food. I should not eat. So I will not eat the good food, and he's sensibly addicted. But devotee, what does he do is, he offers all the good food stuff first to the Lord, and then he eats prasadam. So naturally what happens is, his senses are then controlled. And thus everything becomes spiritualized, and there is no danger of a downfall. So then the Krishna conscious person will not fall down, but because of eating Krishna prasadam, he will elevate his devotional service. The devotee takes prasadam in Krishna consciousness, whereas the non-devotee rejects it as material. So second thing is, when devotee takes prasadam, he takes in Krishna consciousness, that Krishna has eaten the bhoga and now the remnants I am getting. So in this consciousness, one eats the prasadam. So whereas non-devotees reject this material, I will not eat, I will not this, I will not eat this. The impersonalist therefore cannot enjoy life due to his artificial renunciation. And for this reason, a slight agent of mind pulls him down again to the pool of materializations. So therefore, impersonalist doesn't enjoy the life because of his renunciation artificial. And when there is agitation of mind, because mind is a storehouse of all the previous impressions. And when the mind is not being given some enjoyment, what happens is it gets agitated. And when it gets agitated, then it will pull us down into the mole of, or in the pool of materialization. It means it will draw us back into the sensual things. And when the mind pulls us, even a man who is of very intense caliber, and then he will also not be able to stop the mind and stop his senses from doing some wrong things. It is said that such a soul, even though rising up to the point of liberation, falls down again due to his not having support in devotion service. So such a soul, even though rising up to the point of liberation, liberation is a very high stage in devotion service. So if one goes to very, very high stage of his practice, still he falls down because he has no support of devotion service. He's not a devotee of Lord Krishna or any other Vishnu Tattva. And therefore, what happens is, he will again come down to all the different non-material things. And therefore, we see so many people in this world, after doing devotion service, they come to some social service, doing some charity, offering food, or doing some hospital service. And so many things they start up. They started with all pure devotion service, but they started with all the charity organization in a non-devotional way. See, this can also be done, all the things can be done in devotional service. Like we have Bhakti in a hospital. If we go, there is altar, there are devotees, the they did offer prasadam, the hospital, the staff, the doctors, the patient, everyone, they offer prasadam. This is a pure devotional things we don't, but otherwise, there is nothing devotional. It's just a hospital or mundane education given. So, these things happen when there is no taste for spiritual things, and gradually one again goes back to all the material things one is doing, and in the garb of devotional practice or devotional things, this material things goes on, and actually it is not spiritual, but it is a good karmic activity or a good things which they do, which like doing charity and all. So it will definitely give some past results, but definitely not the spiritual credits. So this is a difference. So this is the all these two verses are the natural concept of how a person falls down. And then this verse says that what happens to the person who is free from the raga and dvesh. So let's see this verse number 64. रागदेश विमुक्तैस्तु विषयानिन्द्रियश्चरन् आत्मवशे विधेयात्मा प्रसादम् अधिगच्छति. Raga, attachment, dvesha, and detachment, vimukte, by one who has become free from two but vishayan, sense objects, indriya, by the senses, charan, acting upon, atma vashe, under one's control, videyatma, one who follows regulated freedom, prasadam, the mercy of the Lord, adhigachati, attains. But a person free from all attachment and aversion and able to control his senses through regulatory principles of freedom can obtain the complete mercy of the Lord. So we saw contemplation leads to attachment, leads to lust, leads to anger, leads to delusion, leads to bewilderment of memory, leads to loss of intelligence, and then is fall down. But here, a person free from all attachment. So there will not a point that the senses will not meet the sense of it. That will definitely be there. The senses will always come in contact with sense objects. So we'll see good things, we'll eat things and all. So this will often happen. But after contemplation, we should stop at that point, and there should not the attachment should not arise. So if the attachment doesn't arise, and one is able to control senses through regulatory principles of freedom. So we have this four regulatory principles of no meat eating, no sex, no gambling, and no intoxication. And whatever we do is offer the Lord. So if we do like this, then what happens is one can obtain the complete mercy of the Lord. So we can obtain the mercy of Krishna, and in this way we can progress in our devotional service. Purport is already explained that one may externally control the senses by some artificial process. But unless the senses are engaged in the transcendental service of the Lord, there's every chance of a fall. So one may try to restrict the senses. I will not see this. I will not see this. I will not see this. I will not eat. I will not eat. I will not eat this. I will not hear this. I will not hear it. I will not hear this. So we try to artificially control the senses. But unless if we hear Krishna Katha, if we eat Krishna Prasadam, unless we see the deities of the Lord, if we don't use the senses as a positive alternative, the senses will be irritated, and the senses there's always a chance of fall. That is, one may again go back to the back to sense, and therefore we see so many drug addicts and so many smokers, chain smokers, and all. They go through the process of de-addiction, but after going through the de-addiction, again within few days or months, they again go back to the addiction which they have. So again, they go to the rehab, and again they go to addiction. Why? Because after going to the rehab, they have not got a positive spiritual alternative. And the senses want real engagement. That is not been got. They have been trained to get out of the addiction by some means or others, by positive affirmation and so many things by medication things on. But because of not getting some positive alternative, what happens is within few days, the all what they've heard, what they've seen, and what they've experienced, all the process, all they are wiped out. And again, what happens is again they go back to the old addiction, and therefore de-addiction is mostly unsuccessful in most of the cases. And if you want real success, that de-addicts again don't go back to their old habits, the most important thing to be done is give them a positive alternative also. The spiritual culture, the spiritual vibration of hearing, chanting, eating prasadam, dancing in the kirtan, and doing all spiritual, then the thing will get real success. Otherwise, it's a difficult thing. Uh, Although the person in full Krishna consciousness may apparently be on the sensual plane, because of being of his being Krishna conscious, he has no attachment to sensual activities. So one may come in contact with the things, the sensual things, but because one has no attachment, one can easily give it up. So attachment should not be there. The Krishna conscious person is concerned only with the satisfaction of Krishna and nothing else. So the goal of a devotee is to satisfy Krishna. If Krishna is satisfied, he has nothing else to do. Therefore, he is transcendental to all the attachment and detachment. And if Krishna wants, the devotee can do anything which is ordinarily undesirable. And if Krishna does not want, he shall not do what that which he would have ordinarily done for his own satisfaction. Therefore, to act or not to act, is within his control because he acts only under the direction of Krishna. This consciousness is causeless mercy of the Lord, which the devotee can achieve in spite of his being attached to sensual platform. So, there are two things in this. Uh, let us understand these things. See, one is Shraddha and one is Swabhava. Shraddha says what is right and what is wrong. And this Shraddha is developed according to scriptures. Scripture says, Krishna says, this is right, this is wrong. You should do this, you should not do this. This is called Shraddha. Swabhava is, this I like, this I don't like. This I like, this I don't like. So, I like sense gratification and I don't like exercise. To exercise in the morning, to get up in the morning, to do spiritual practice, I don't like. But to have sense gratification, I like it. I like to eat this, I like to do this, I like to go here and this. So this is the difference between Shraddha and Swabhava. Now, when this combines, what happens is, Shraddha says, this is good, you should do, but I don't like. And Shraddha says, this is bad, but you say the Swabhava says, I like it. Even if it's bad, I like it. There is always a tug of war between Shraddha and Swabhava. Shraddha is coming from scriptures. Swabhava is our Sattvagun, Rajogun, Tamogun, what are the modes we are made of. So we are, if we are made of more of Rajogun, we'll run through this, we want to do this activity. And therefore, if you see this purport, he shall not, he will do whatever is desired by Krishna. So that is what it means is, whatever the scriptures say, whatever the Krishna says through all the books like Bhagavad, he is told what to eat, what not to eat, whom to give charity, whom not to give charity, what to speak or what not to speak, in what way one should behave. So all these things are given in Bhagavad. So if one acts like this, even if he does not want, but he acts according to scriptures, he's acting according to his Shraddha. See, even if he have strong Swabhava, I want to enjoy this, I want to enjoy, but he's restricting his Swabhava because of his Shraddha he has in scriptures. And because of the Shraddha he has in scriptures, the faith he has in scriptures, that because Krishna is saying, no, I will not do, even if I like it. And because Krishna is saying, yes, I should do, even if I don't like it, I will do, because I have strong faith in Krishna that whatever Krishna is saying, whatever Krishna is doing is for ultimate good. And therefore, he is repressing his Swabhava due to a higher cause of Shraddha in Krishna or faith in Krishna. But what generally happens in this world is one tries to repress his Swabhava by some artificial means. So one will have that if a child is too much addicted to the mobile and thing, oh, I will give you a cycle if you don't use the mobile for some time. So for few days, the child will not use his mobile. And afterwards, he gets a cycle. And as soon as he gets a cycle, again, he'll start using the mobile also. So he got the both mobile and cycle both. And now he's more in the this way. So I'm just giving a good example. So this is what happens with most of people. because of not having a higher taste, a person may fall down. And therefore, one requires, what one should do is, his shraddha should become strong, his faith in scriptures should become strong. And this will happen by regularly reading the Shastras, regularly hearing about the Shastras, regularly contemplating on the Shastras, and regularly doing things according to Shastras. And if this is done, then what happens is, one is strengthening his shraddha. And when one does anything wrong, activity which is not according to the faith of scriptures, then one, what is doing is giving food to the swabha. Like Radha Maharaj says, the good dog and the bad dog. So what happens is, either you feed the good dog or the bad dog. So whatever activity we do in our life is according to our sabhava or according to our shraddha. So if we do one more activity according to faith in the scriptures, we are strengthening that shraddha. If we are doing according to the swabhava, we are strengthening that swabhava. And therefore, there is a constant tug of war while making a decision. And in this constant war, if we take the help of Bhagavad Gita, we take the help of senior Vaishnavas, devotees who are practicing Krishna consciousness, and take practical guidance, then we'll be on the safe path. Otherwise, there will always be difficulty. And therefore, our goal is to go back to Godhead, and therefore it's very necessary to control the senses to regulate principles. If we are not able to control the senses, then the chance of going back to Godhead is very, very minimal. And therefore, it is very important to mold our life according to the scriptures which is there. And gradually, we should elevate ourselves through hearing, chanting, and eating Krishna Prasadam and all. So, this is the verse of these things. So, now let's see verse number 65. So, this verse number 65 is what happens when one gets the Lord mercy, because up we saw that we'll attain the mercy of the Lord if we are able to free from all attachment and aversion and control our senses. So if we control our senses, we get the mercy of the Lord. And what happens when we get the mercy of the Lord? So this is there in this verse. So let's see verse number 65. प्रसादे सर्वदुःखानां हानि असोपजायते प्रसन्न चेतुषो यासु बुद्धि पर्यावशिष्टते. Prasade, on achievement of the causes mercy of the Lord, serve all dukkhana, material miseries, hani, destruction, asya, his upajayate takes place, prasanna chetsa, of the happy minded, he certainly, ashu, very soon, buddhi, intelligence, pari, sufficiently, avasithite, becomes established. Translation. For one, thus satisfied in Krishna consciousness, the threefold miseries of material existence exist no longer. In such satisfied consciousness, one intelligence soon well established. So when one is satisfied, one gets the mercy of Lord, and one is satisfied in Krishna consciousness. And what happens? The threefold miseries of material existence. The threefold miseries are Adi Daivik, Adi Bhautik, and Adi Adhyatmik. The miseries caused by one's body and mind, the miseries caused by other living entities, and the miseries caused by the devatas, like the heat, cold, and all. So these are threefold miseries. So this exists no longer. That means it doesn't mean that from tomorrow there will be no heat or cold. It will be there, but it will not affect us. So this the miseries will not affect us, and therefore this exists no longer. And in such satisfied consciousness, and when one is satisfied in Krishna consciousness that the mercy is Lord, then one intelligence is soon well established. So one intelligence, the buddhi becomes very, very sharp. The determination, the discrimination power is very sharp. And then one does what is right and one does not do what is wrong. So this is how one can sharpen one's intelligence very well. So I think there is no purport in this verse 65. Okay. Just I will check. I think there should be some purport in all the verses. Just a second. Hare Krishna. I think we'll check later if there is some. We'll go for the electricity point of time. So, what happens when is satisfied with threefold miseries and one time is established? So, what happens next is there in verse number 66. नास्ति बुद्धि अयुक्तस्य न चायुक्तस्य भावना न च भावयत शांति शन्तस्य कुत सुखम्. Nasti, there cannot be buddhi transcendentalist ayuktasya of one who is not connected with Krishna consciousness. Na, not, cha, and ayuktasya of one devoid of Krishna consciousness. Bhavana, fixed mind. In happiness, na, not, cha, and abhavyata of one who is not fixed. Shanti, peace. Ashantasya of the unpeaceful, uta, where is sukham, happiness. So, transition. One who is not connected with the supreme in Krishna consciousness can have neither transcendental uh, intelligence nor a steady mind, without which there is no possibility of peace. And how can there be any happiness without peace? So, next, if one doesn't have this connection with supreme, then one cannot be steady intelligence and one cannot have steady mind also. And without this, there is no possibility of peace. So when one man is when established intelligence is truly established, then there is a possibility of peace. And without peace, there cannot be any happiness also. So if we want happiness, there should be some general peace in the society. Like we see nowadays in this world, people are generally agitated. And for some or the other reason, there is always some or other uh, this thing or that thing, some agitation is going on, there is some struggle, there's some fight. We see that somewhere or other, uh, so many people are always ready and they're always ready and eager to fight, have some fight or some battle. They're always ready to do something. So, therefore, if there is such a case, then there cannot be happiness. And therefore, for general people to be happy, there's to be peaceful, uh, the type of people, the consciousness of people who come to this material world always matters. So, the type of material people that comes in this world takes birth is definitely important. Therefore, Arjuna, if you see in the first chapter, he tells about if the woman gets polluted, then there'll be a unwanted population. So this is very true. If there is unwanted population, what happens is the peace and the happiness of society is disturbed. And this what we can see in today's time also, where there are different agitation going in different parts of the world, and nobody is practically happy actually. So purport, unless one is in Krishna consciousness, there is no possibility of peace. So it is confirmed in the 5th chapter 5.29 that when one understands that Krishna is the only enjoyer of all the good results of the sacrifice and penance, and that he's only is the proprietor of all universal manifestation, and that he's a real friend of all entities, then only one can have this real peace. So unless one is a devotee of Krishna, one is Krishna consciousness, there's no peace. So in this 5th chapter, 4.29 was the last verse of chapter 5.29. So in that, Krishna speaks that he's the enjoyer of all the good results. So because Krishna is the enjoyer, we give all the enjoyment to Krishna. So if all think that I am the enjoyer, then there's always a fight. Because everyone thinks that I should enjoy, others should not enjoy. And second is, Krishna is the proprietor of all universe mentioned. So if we see today's time also, everybody wants to become proprietor. And therefore, we see there are so many property cases in this material world. There are so many cases in the courts that the brother is fighting with the other brother, the parents are child fighting with the children, children are fighting with the parents. Why? Because everybody is thinking, I am the proprietor of this thing. I own this, I want this. But if the consciousness changes to that Krishna is the proprietor, Krishna is the enjoyer, let me give enjoyment to Krishna, let the property be of Krishna, then what will happen is, because of this consciousness, there will be peace in the society. And third is, Krishna is the friend of all humanity. This is also very important. See, we should not think that we are the friend of everyone. We cannot be. Because Krishna is the Surat, Suratam Sarva Bhutana. That is Krishna. Krishna is real friend, and he can show that. We can we can tell them that you worship Krishna. You offer your everything to Krishna. That is what we can say. We cannot tell that, oh, you offer everything to me. That will be wrong. And therefore, these three things are very, very important. That Krishna is the enjoyer, Krishna is the property, and Krishna is the real friend. And if that is done, then there will be real peace in the material world. And this is to be understood. So that what does it mean is, all the enjoyment in this world is only made for Krishna. And therefore, if nobody wants to enjoy, what will happen is, one will use things only for the basic necessities. And because of this, there will be no greed in the society. People will not fight, and this is the thing. And even if one thinks that one is not enjoyer, property of all things, then what will think is, one will always think that Krishna is the property of all things, and one will only take what is his quota. So if one takes his own quota and doesn't take others' quota, then what will happen is, naturally the human society needs, which are actually less, will help to overall sustain the whole material world. Otherwise, what happens is, because of the greed we see in this world, uh, then there's always the price are increasing, there's always scarcity of things, and there's always problem in this material world. And therefore, if we want that the problems in this material world uh, should be less or should be not, then this is a formula. And third is, Krishna is a friend of all living entities. That means whatever instructions are given by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita and other scriptures are for the welfare of living entities. Because sometimes when you hear Krishna say that, surrender everything to me, offer your homage to me, we think that, oh, Krishna is so egoistic. Krishna is telling us to do this thing, and we take it negatively. But when we think that Krishna is our friend, whatever instruction Krishna gives, we think that this is for our benefit and we may do the things. And in this way, what will happen? There will be peace in this material world. So disturbance is due to want of the ultimate goal, and when one is certain that Krishna is the enjoyer, property, and friend of everyone, everything, then one can, with a steady mind, bring about peace. Therefore, one who is engaged without a relationship with Krishna is certainly always interested and without peace. However much he may make a show of peace and spiritual advancement in life, Krishna consciousness is a self-manifested peaceful condition which can be achieved only in relationship with Krishna. So, again, uh, therefore, you should always understand this thing, that one who is not Krishna consciousness will always be in distress, and there will no peace in his life. This we should be very sure of. And one may make a show of peace for some time, that we are so peaceful and all, but within some time, the agitation will start and there will be some problems. And therefore, this is very important for us to understand. So let's see verse number 67. So after giving all these things, in verse number 67, Krishna is saying that even if one of the senses is not controlled in this way, then what will happen? So like we saw that all the senses should be engaged in Krishna's service. Otherwise, what happens is there's a sequence of how one falls down. So we saw in verse number 63 the stages of falling down. Suppose one of the senses is not controlled, others are controlled. Then what happens is that alone sense is very, very powerful, which can carries away to fall down. So there is no possibility of spiritual advancement if we don't control all the senses, or we don't engage all the senses in Krishna service. Let's see this verse number 67. Indriyanam hi charatam yanmano anubidhiyate tat asya harati prajanam vayur navam ivambasi. Synonymous: Indriana of the senses, he certainly charatam while roaming, yet which with which mana the mind anu vidhiyate becomes consciously engaged, that asya is harati takes away, prajna intelligence, vayu wind, navam about, iva like ambasi on the water. As a strong wind sweeps away a boat on the water, even one of the roaming senses on which the mind focuses can carry away a man's intelligence. So the example given of strong wind. So a boat may be in water and the boat may be a very big boat. Still, the strong has the capacity to sweep away the boat in the wrong direction, or may even there are some ships which even sink in the water due to strong winds. So one of the roaming senses, even one senses, maybe seeing, hearing, smelling, or touching, or tasting, whatever it may be. If the mind focuses on the wrong way, then what happens is one intelligence is lost, and therefore we need to engage all the senses in Krishna service. Otherwise, it will be difficult. Purport: unless all the senses are engaged in the service of the Lord, even one of them engaged in the sense gratification can deviate the devotee from the path of transcendental advancement. As I mentioned in the life of Ambrish Maharaj, all the senses must be engaged in Krishna consciousness, and for that, that is the correct technique for controlling the mind. So the mind has a very unique tendency. Suppose 23 hours in a whole day we engage in Krishna consciousness, and 1 hour we don't engage ourselves in Krishna consciousness. What will the mind do? Mind will contemplate on that 1 hour. It will not contemplate on 23 hours. So the what will stick is that 1 hour. What to think of 23 hours? If we do spiritual activities for 23 hours and 50 minutes, just 10 minutes we do the on material things. What will the mind do? It will stick to that 10 minutes only. So uh, this is a very difficult thing, but is the only way out is to engage all the senses in Krishna service, all the time, all the energy, everything in Krishna service. Otherwise, it is difficult. And therefore, even one senses, whatever the mind contemplates, can take away from spiritual life. And we can see this also in the so many animals, like the moth is attracted by the form. So that one senses because of which it dies. The fish is attracted by taste, and therefore, because of taste, the fish is killed. Likewise, the bee is attracted by the fragrance and the sweet honey in the flower, and because of that, it gets killed. Similarly, the elephant is caught because of the touch, and the deer is caught because of the sound. So one sense can destroy the person. One sense. And therefore, all the senses should be engaged in Krishna service. Otherwise, it will be very difficult. So therefore, let's see the next verse. So here Krishna is saying that all the senses should be restrained, and this is how one will get success. And so let's see verse number 68. Tasmadyasya mahabaho nigrahitani sarvasha indriyani indriyarthebhyas tasya prajna pratisthita. Tasmat, therefore, yasya, whose mahabaho, O mighty armed one, nigrihitani, so curved down, sarvasha, all round, indriyani, the senses, indriya arthebhya, from sense objects, tasya, his prajna, intelligence, pratisthita, fixed. Transition. Therefore, O mighty arm, One whose senses are restrained from their sense of from their objects is certainly of steady intelligence. So, whose senses are restrained from their objects. The senses does not come in contact with the sense objects is certainly of steady. So, such person intelligence of steady because if we see when the senses come in contact with sense objects, what happens? The intelligence starts thinking, oh, we should not do this, not do this. So when this is done, that means one has steady intelligence. Purport, one can curb the force of sense gratification only by means of Krishna consciousness or engaging all the senses in transcendent loving sense of Lord. As enemies are curbed by superior force, the senses can similarly be curbed not by any human endeavor, but only by keeping them engaged in the service of the Lord. One who has understood this, that only Krishna consciousness is the only one really established in intelligence, and that one should practice his art under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master is called sadhaka or suitable candidate for liberation. So again, Prabhupada is saying here that if you want to curb the forces of sanguine, sometimes are very, very powerful, actually. Very, very powerful. We cannot underestimate this. So this can be done only by superior power. We cannot do for ourselves, but Krishna can do it. And therefore, we should be Krishna consciousness. And if we are Krishna conscious, Krishna will help us to curb all the senses. And this can be done by engaging all the senses in loving sense of Krishna. So if we can do this, like an example is given of enemies. The enemies are curbed by higher forces and not by any human endeavor. So we cannot ourselves do, but we can do if we are engaged our senses in service of the Lord, and the Lord will control all the senses. So this is the only way for success, and we should practice this art under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. So one may it may be Diksha Guru or Sisha Guru. So one if it does like this, then is called sadhaka, and sadhaka means one who is a suitable candidate for liberation. So such person will be liberated very fast. So this is what we said. Now verse number 69 says the what is morning for a self-realized person and what is night for him. And similarly, what is morning and night for a person who is not want self-realization or introspective stage. या निशा सर्वभूतानां तस्यां जागृति संयमी यस्यां जागृति भूतानि स निशा पश्यतो मुने. Ya, what? Nisha is night, Sarva all, Bhutana of living entities, Tasyam, in that Jagrati is wakeful, Samyami, the self-control, Yasyam, in which Jagrati are awake, Bhutani, all beings, so that is Nisha, night, Pashyata, for the introspective Muni sage. What is night for all beings is a time of awakening for self-control, and the time of awakening for the all beings is night for the introspective sage. So this is a difference that the self-control people get awakened to things where ordinary people don't, and where ordinary people are awake, self-control sage will not intervene. So these are different things we should understand. Okay. Purport. There are two classes of intelligent men. One is intelligent in material activities for self-realization, and other is introspective and awake to the cultivation of self-realization. So we know these two types of people. One is materialistic people and always searching for how I can gratify my senses. Another is introspective stage who wants that how can I be self-realized? How can my be more aware of Krishna, so God and everything. So activities of the introspective stage of thoughtful men are night for persons materially absorbed. So what are activities one does, introspective stage will do? Maybe he will live very simply and he will do his bhajan, kirtan, all. So it is night for material observer because material observer what will do? He will do more sense revision. He will not live simply. He wants to live opulently, and therefore they are different. Materialistic person remain asleep in night in such a night due to their ignorance of self-realization. The introspective stage remains alert in the night of materialistic man. The sage feels transcendental pleasure in the gradual advancement of spiritual culture, whereas the man in materialistic activities being asleep to self-realization, dreams of varieties of self-pleasure, feeling sometimes happy and sometimes distressed in sleeping condition. The introspective man is always indifferent to material happiness and distress. He goes on with his self-realized activities undisturbed by material reactions. So whatever may be material condition, sometimes the material condition may give lot of wealth, happiness and all, and sometimes it may give lot of distress and all. But the person who is self-realized, the person who wants to work for his spirit soul will not care for happiness or distress. He will just go on carrying the activities of the spirit soul. And oppositely, the person who is materialistic person will only work for his how he can be enjoyed, and he will not do any activities for self-reliance. And therefore, what is night for a materialistic person is a day for self-realization, and what is day for self-realization person is night for the materialistic person. So this is a difference which is given for both. And does the self-realized person doesn't have desires? This is as well in verse number 70, because both have desires, but one tries to fulfill the desire and one tries to not fulfill the desire. So this is a very good example given in verse number 70. A very good analogy is given of the samudra or sagar or the ocean. So let's see this verse. अपूर्यमाणामचलप्रतिष्ठं समुद्रमाप प्रविशन्ति यद्वत् तद्वत् कामयं प्रविशन्ति सर्वे शान्तिमाप्नोति न कामकामी. Synonyms. Apuryamanam, always being filled, Achala Pratishtam, steadily situated, Samudram, the ocean, Apa, waters, Pravishanti, enter, Yadvat, as, Tadvat, so, Kama, desires, Yam, unto whom, Pravishanti, enter, Sarve, all, Sa, that person, Shantim, peace, Apnoti, achieves, no, na, not, Kama, Kami, one who desires to fulfill desires. One who desires to fulfill desires. Okay. So, translation, a person who is not disturbed by the incessant flow of desires that enter like the rivers onto the ocean, which is never being filled but is always still, can alone achieve peace, and not the man who strives to satisfy the desires. See what a good example energy is given. So if you see the ocean is always filled, is always water, it's always filled. And in the ocean, lot of water from the river is continuously flowing in. It's going on. So if we see the ocean does not cross its limits. If the ocean crosses limits, then we'll all be drawn. And therefore, the example is one of ocean. That let us there's a lot of desire we flow in our mind. Lot of desire comes. But one who is always still is not will not be agitated. And therefore, one should not strive to fulfill all the desires. If one strives to fulfill all the desires in material consciousness, one will never be peaceful. And the thing which is said like if we do bhoga, we'll get mukti. This is one philosopher who says that if you enjoy a lot, then automatically vairagya will come. This is wrong. It will never happen. And therefore, those people who think that renunciation or vairagya or taking the Lord name should be done in the old age, after one has enjoyed everything, one has done everything, at the old age what should do, is all bluff. It will never happen. Because vairagya or renunciation does not come by enjoyment or by getting frustrated through the enjoyment. It doesn't come like that. We see so many people are disturbed, are now very much, they don't want enjoyment. Still, they cannot leave this. Or vairagya doesn't come to them. Even if they are disturbed and they have seen all this, it doesn't happen like this. So renunciation is not a matter of frustration. It is a matter of how you get a devotional seat through some devotee. So renunciation happens when or one gets a devotional service. I will not say renunciation, but one gets devotional service due to association of some devotee. That is the seed. It's not the frustration of material desires. One may get frustrated, but when you try again and again. But when he's frustrated, and similarly, one gets the opportunity to associate with a devotee, then the devotion will rise. So one should always try to fulfill Krishna activities and not what one desires. Purport, although the vast ocean is always filled with water, it's always, especially during the rainy season, being filled with much more water, but the ocean remains the same, steady, it is not agitated. Nor does it cross beyond the limit of its brink. This is also true of a person fixing Krishna consciousness. As long as one has material body, the demands of body for sensitivity will continue. So till the end of the life, the Maya they will say, enjoy this, enjoy this, enjoy this. The body will say, I cannot. But still the mind says, oh, nothing, you're not old, you're not still old enough. Even if somebody is 80, he'll think I'm only 20 years old. Let me go here. I want to see this. I want to roam this every day. So the desire will always be there. As long as material body is there, the demands of material form will continue. The devotee, however, is not disturbed by such desire because of his fullness. A Krishna conscious man is not in need of anything because the Lord fulfills all his material necessities. Therefore, he is like the ocean, always full in himself. Desires may come to him like the waters of the rivers that flow into the ocean, but he is steady in his activities and he does not even slightly disturbed by desires for sense gratification. That is the proof of Krishna conscious man, one who has lost all inclinations for material sense gratification. All the desires are present. So this is a proof how one is advancing in Krishna consciousness. One will have desires, but one will not fulfill the desires. Like somebody has virus in his body, but the virus cannot harm him or cannot give him disease. This is the condition of Krishna consciousness. So there are viruses like COVID virus or some other virus is there in the body, but one doesn't fall sick. Like this, one has desires, but one does not want to fulfill the desires. Suppose one has taken prasadam, his stomach is full, and now in front of him, if you put so many gulab jamuns, so many rasgullas, what will he do? He'll just see. Well, if one is hungry, he will start eating. But if one is full, he doesn't have anything, there is no space in the stomach, what will he do? He will just see. Like this, if one is full in himself, then he will not go for celebrating things. This is what does it mean. Because he remains satisfied in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, he can remain steady like the ocean and therefore enjoy full peace. Others, however, who want to fulfill desires, even up to the limit of liberation, want to speak of material success, never attain peace. The fruity workers, the salvationists, and also the yogis who are after mystic powers are all unhappy because of unfulfilled desires. But the person in Krishna consciousness is happy in the service of the Lord and he has no desires to be fulfilled. In fact, he does not even desire liberation from so-called material bondage. The devotees of Krishna have no material desires and therefore they are in perfect peace. So if one wants peace, one has to give up desires. If there are desires which are material, one will definitely not be in peace. And therefore, we should always desire for Krishna and should be happy. And that is the way of how we can get out of this material world. So a devotee even does not aspire for liberation. Maro bhi rakho bhi jai ichha. See, when we come initially in Krishna consciousness, one comes in with a desire that Janma Mrityu se chakkar se mukti. We want to get rid of 84 lakh species. One want to go back to God and everything. But after one is advanced sufficiently, one says, wherever Krishna puts me, I'm happy. So I want to go back to God. But if Krishna doesn't want, and if Krishna wants that me to stay here in a midst of all the problems, I'm happy because I am happy in what Krishna is happy. So if Krishna is happy being me, always be irritated, always be in trouble, then I am happy because Krishna wants me like this. And in that way, he works. So let's see verse number 71. So these are the qualities of Sthita Pragya. So these two verses will complete and we'll finish this chapter today, 71 and 72. So the qualities of Sthita Pragya are there in 71 and 72 is destination of Sthita Pragya. Let us see the qualities of Sthita Pragya. Vihaya kaman yah sarvan pumam sharati nishpraha nirmamo nirankara sasantim adhigacchati. Vihaya, giving up kaman, material desires for sense gratification. Yah, who, sarvan, all. Puman, a person, charity, lives. Nishpriha, desireless, nirmamam, without a sense of propership, nirahankara, without false ego, sa, he, shanti, perfectly adhigachati. A person who has given up all desire for sanctification, that is, he thinks that I not enjoy, who lives free from desires, who has given all sense of propership and is devoid of false ego. He alone can attain real peace. So again, verse number 55.29 also similar. There are also one thing that he's not the enjoyer, he's not a proprietor, he's not a friend of all in. Because of false ego or ahankar, we think that I am the friend of all and all things. So one who has given up desires for sanctification, that one does not want to satisfy his senses, and he lives free from desires, who has given up all sense of proprietorship. So one may take care of the things may be in possession, but he knows very well that it's all things belong to Krishna, and he's just a caretaker of the things, so that can achieve peace. Uh, Purport: to become desireless means not to desire anything for sense gratification. In other words, desire for becoming Krishna consciousness is actually desirelessness. To understand one's actual position as the eternal servitor of Krishna without falsely claiming this material body to be oneself and without falsely claiming proprietorship over anything in this world is the perfect stage of Krishna consciousness. So, very important point here, without falsely claiming this material body to be oneself. So, this material body, what we have, this also does not belong to us. This also will be taken away from us. So if material body will also taken from us, then what to think of all the worldly possessions, the house, the bungalow, or the prop, the money, or anything which we have? Nothing will come to us. And therefore, we should gradually prepare ourselves that इस दुनिया में जो भी हम छोड़ के जाना है, we should gradually prepare ourselves कि we owe nothing in this material world. We were owing nothing, will owe nothing, and in future also nothing will be ours. So this type of renunciation mentally we should have. We should try to cultivate this renunciation. So whatever we do, practically we should do. We will earn, we will do anything. But on a mental platform, we should understand this simple thing that nothing belongs to us, and therefore we should try to prepare ourselves gradually to on that destination. Uh, one who is situated, no, so one who is situated in this perfect stage knows that because Krishna is the proprietor of everything, everything must be used for the satisfaction of Krishna. Arjuna did not want to fight for his own sense satisfaction, but when he became fully Krishna conscious, he fought because Krishna wanted him to fight. For himself, there was no desire to fight, but for Krishna, the same Arjuna fought to his best ability. The real desirelessness is desire for the satisfaction of Krishna, not an artificial attempt to abolish desires. The living entity cannot be desirelessness or senseless, but he does not have to change the quality of he does have to change the quality of his desire. A materially desireless person certainly knows that everything belongs to Krishna, Ishavasyam, idam sarvam, and therefore he does not falsely claim proprietorship over anything. This transcendental knowledge is based on self-realization, namely knowing perfectly well that every living entity is an eternal part and parcel of Krishna and spiritual identity, and that the eternal position of the living entity is therefore never on the level of Krishna or greater than enemy. Thus, this understanding of Krishna consciousness is the basic principle of the real peace. So, we know that everybody is part and parcel of Krishna, and therefore will never become Krishna. Because we can never become Krishna, we can never become property of anything. Because only Krishna is the property of anything. See, when one becomes liberated, one may not be affected by Maya energy. But at the same time, one is not the owner of Maya or the material energy. So this material energy always belongs to Krishna. Krishna is the proprietor. One may not be affected by this material energy, but one will never become the owner of this material energy. This is a difference between the Jiva and the Lord. And therefore, the Jiva or the living entity will never ever become the Lord. So this we should understand. And therefore, we should not think to be desirelessness, but we should change the quality of a desire. We should desire everything for Krishna. So this is how the thing is. And such person who is Sita Pragya, what does he attain? Esha Brahmi Sita Partha Nainam Prapya Vimuyati Sita Vasyam Antikalapi Brahma Nirvanam Nichati. Asia, this spiritual, uh, spiritual city situation, Partha, O son of Pritha, no never enam, this prapya achieving vimuyati, one is bewildered, sitwa, being situated, asyam, in this antakale, at the end of life, api also, Brahma Nirvanam, the spiritual kingdom of God, ichati, one attains. It is the way of spiritual and godly life, after attaining which a man is not bewildered. If one is thus situated, even at the hour of death, one can enter into the kingdom of God. So we discussed all these verses, and this is the way of spiritual life. And one attains this, then one is not bewildered, and thus at the time of death, one attains the kingdom of God. One can attain Krishna consciousness or divine life at once within a second, or one may not attain such a state of life even after millions of births. It is not only a matter of understanding and accepting the fact. Khatwang Maharaj attained this state of life in just a few minutes before his death by surrendering to Krishna. Nirvana means ending the process of materialistic life. According to Buddhist philosophy, there is only void after the completion of this material life. But Bhagavad Gita teaches differently. Actual life begins after the completion of this material life. For the gross materialist, it is sufficient to know that one has to end this materialistic way of life. But for persons who are spiritually advanced, there is another life after this materialistic life. Before ending this life, if one fortunately becomes Krishna conscious, he at once attains the stage of Brahma Nirvana. There is no difference between the kingdom of God and the devotion service of the Lord. Since both of them are on absolute plane, to be engaged in transcendental loving service of the Lord is to have attained the spiritual kingdom. In material world, there are activities for sense gratification, whereas in the spiritual world, there are activities for Krishna consciousness. Attainment of Krishna consciousness, even during this life, is immediate attainment of Brahman. And one who is still in Krishna consciousness has certainly already entered into the kingdom of God. So, according to the materialist people, according to philosophy, they say that this life is all in all. And if the life is ending, everything ends. But for spiritual person, he's happy with the death. He says, whoa, the death is coming. Now I will able to meet with my Lord. And therefore, he doesn't mourn at the time of death. He's happy. And therefore, in his life, he practices spiritual consciousness very well so that at the end of this life, he may go back to God. There is a difference between both the people. So materialist people always cry at the time of death, whereas spiritual person is always happy. Brahman is just opposite of matter, therefore Brahmani Siddhi means not on the platform of material activities. Devotion to the Lord is accepted in the Bhagavad Gita as the liberated state. Sagunan Samityaitan Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate. Therefore, Brahmi Siddhi is liberation from material bondage. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has summarized the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita as being the contents for the whole text. In the Bhagavad Gita, the subject matter are Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. In the second chapter, Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga have been clearly discussed, and a glimpse of Bhakti Yoga has also been given as a contents of summary, complete summary. Thus ends the Bhaktinam purport of the second chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of its content. So, thank you very much.